In today's video, we're going to talk about what you can do if you end up getting a time-barred debt, or aka SOL, statute of limitations debt reset. I'm going to tell you from experience how you can end up getting your money back and then having that debt totally go away. Because a lot of people are making this mistake because they don't understand their rights when it comes to debt that is past the legal statute of limitations or time bar period of time to be able to legally collect. And that's even if it's from an original creditor or debt collector. Looking at some of the stats online over the last year, from 22 to 23, this debt collectors have purchased 5 times more debt that is past the legal statute of limitations to collect, and they have went out there and gotten billions of dollars in payments that people didn't never have to pay them legally. Now you can if you feel that you have a moral obligation to pay that debt, that's up to you, but legally they cannot force you to pay that debt. Now let me give a little bit of a background about statute of limitations debt, aka time barred debt, and both mean the same. According to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, this is how it's written in there, is that any debt that is past the time barred period, aka statute of limitations period, cannot be collected on a legal basis. No threats of lawsuits. They can't take you to court. They can't get any type of judgment, none of that stuff. And this pertains to the original creditor and debt collectors who buy the debt, period. It just, if it goes past that period. Now, one of the things that's very confusing about the whole situation with time-barred debt and statute of limitations debt, which are the same, is that it varies from state to state. One state may have a 4-year or a 3-year. One state may have a 10-year. One of the states even has a 15-year statute of limitations on debt. So that means that a debt collector can buy that debt, or the original creditor can come after you for 15 years without getting a judgment. They can still come after you. So, and also what makes it confusing is that each state has different time frames for what they consider their statute of limitations to be able to collect the debt. But then there's also categories within each state's statute of limitations. You have an oral statute of limitations for any oral agreement, where in which oral agreements are very difficult. I do see that out there with the farmers and people who barter for a lot of stuff. They will have oral agreements, but there is a statute for oral agreements on time-barred debt. There's a category for contract agreements. There's a category for promissory notes, which I would really lump those in as the same, which would be installment loans where you're paying like your car payment or some personal loan or some type of loan that you might have. And then there's a category for open-end accounts. Those would be for credit cards. Those could be even for payday loans, because payday loans are kind of in that category of being an open-end type of account. And the statute of limitations could be the same or it could be different across the board for all of those categories. So now, these are the ways that you can accidentally get it reset. And that's why I tell people you need to always, when a debt collector sends you that letter, the first thing you need to do is look at your credit reports and look at the charge-off date or when the last payment was made, where the account was closed off if you're dealing with a personal, like a business that's local or something. But if you're dealing with a credit card company, or you had a automobile that was repossessed, some type of installment type debt, you need to look at the charge-off date. That's why they put charge-offs on there. In a way, they're letting you know, hey, the clock is ticking right now. So when it's charged off, that's when the statute of limitations clock start to tick. And once it hits that date, whatever your state has for statute of limitations, 1 day over it, 1 hour over it, they cannot legally go after you for the debt. Now, they can say that if you can morally want to pay it, but they cannot make any threats of legal action, and they cannot legally take you to court. Some of the times they can place that information on your credit, but you can get that information removed by having it be an obsolete account that you have no legal obligation to that account anymore. So what can actually restart statute of limitations? People make these mistakes, and I'm going to tell you what to do if you accidentally make these mistakes, and this is from experience with dealing with clients. They can make a payment of any amount. It could be 1 penny, because that will reset the clock. You can accept a settlement offer, accept it and sign that offer, not just accepting it. They may try to hold you to it if they're recording the conversation, but it has to be where it's signed. You agree to pay off some of the debt, which would still go into where you've made a payment and you signed an agreement. You acknowledge that you owe the debt. Really, that one there, that's something that when you search Google and you see that it says acknowledgement that you owe the debt, that's not necessarily true. Because you can acknowledge that you have the debt. It would work against the statute of limitations. You can acknowledge that you have the debt, but if it's past the legal statute of limitations, they have no obligation. You have no legal obligation to pay the debt that they know that you used to owe. So I would kind of scratch that one there. And then making a new charge on the same account. You can't make a new charge on the same account you can't make a new charge on the same account if the account was charged off. But if you make a charge on the account, and I think they're mostly stating these could be for if you have an agreement with a local business or something like that. Because once an account is charged off, even if you make a payment to it, and this is something that I learned from experience, and I see this a lot with automobile loans, is that even if when they repossess the vehicle and you pay to get the vehicle back, you will see a lot of times that it says that it was charged off, or they're in a way preparing themselves if they need to go out there and grab that car if you stop making payments the next time, so they don't have to go through all the paperwork again. That charge-off date could work in your favor in the future, because it's going to go off of that charge-off date, not when you actually got the car repossessed. If you can follow me. And I'll restate it again. Let's just say, for example, you got a vehicle, it got repossessed. They put a charge off on there when they do that. If you look at your credit reports, you'll see that you got the car back, you paid the payments up, you got the car back, but you'll see that it'll still say charged off on your credit reports. And then later, say even a year later, you lose the car, things just couldn't work out. You lose the car. That charge-off date from a year before would work in your favor. Let's just say you have a 3-year statute of limitations in your state. You would only have 2 years of them not being able, of them being able to come after you for the debt. But after it went past that 3rd year, you wouldn't have any legal obligation to pay the debt, because that charge-off was initially reported a year before that. So let me tell you the ways that you can get out of this if you happen to make the mistake of resetting a debt. And this is mainly going to be for debt that you're not like a vehicle where you had the vehicle and you're you think that you're going to get out of paying the debt when you have the vehicle. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you had a debt, it's charged off, and you got a call from a debt collector and you just ended up getting that debt reset because you made the mistake of making a payment or doing something that would have made a new contract. Let me tell you the way that you can get out of it. And this is from personal experience with dealing with my clients, is that you could say to them, and we've actually written this letter for our clients before, to the debt collector, that our client was not notified properly that they had no legal obligation to pay that debt, that they were not notified. Now, this is where the debt collection company are going to probably do their homework, and they're going to listen to the phone calls that was made out. And they have an obligation to tell you, according to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, that they have to tell you that they're attempting to collect a time-barred debt. They won't say statute of limitations debt because it'll make your, that big light bulb will pop up over your head. But they have to tell you that the debt is time-barred that they're trying to collect. And if they didn't say that on there, if they did not notify you with that information, you can get out of that resetting that debt, because they have an obligation according to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act to notify you of that. The next thing that you could do is you could just say, I've just become aware that I had no obligation to pay this debt legally. Yes, a simple letter to them, certified letter to the debt collector, notifying them that you did not know that you had any legal obligation to pay that debt. We've seen clients get their money back and an apology letter from the debt collector because they do not want to be in violation. See, the part that most people don't know about, and we know about this because we do this this is our business. This is what we do every day. And what people don't know is that even if you do go into reset that debt, that the debt collection companies are required to record all calls, and they have to release all of those calls. So if they're going to either be confronted with two decisions, either release the call so it can be proven that that individual did hear that or they did not hear it. But you know what they're going to do. They're going to review that call first. And if the rep that works there did not have a proper call with whoever they were talking to and got that debt reset, they will give that money back, and they will give an apology letter and state that they were, they always come up with some terminology to back themselves out of there, because they do not want to get sued over this. They do not want the CFPB to get awakened to what they're doing. Some of them are in violation of doing this in the past, and they don't want to be in violation of doing it now. So that is those two ways are the ways to get out of it. So I'll restate it. Is that you were not properly notified when you made the agreement, and that you can request you would have to do a subpoena, but you can request the phone call. But usually what the debt collector will do is they'll listen to the phone calls. The next one is that you just state that you've become aware. Like, I just became aware from you don't even have to state where you became aware of. Just say, I've just recently became aware that I had no legal obligation to pay that debt. And then that would potentially go back into the way that they, when that debt collector's representative called you on the phone, they're going to probably review that. And when they review it, if they see that they have problems with the way that their rep talked to you about it, and you were not aware of it, and now you're recently become aware of it, they will cancel that deal and they will give you your money back. I've seen it happen time and time again when we've been able to do that. Now, not to say that if they did say this is a time-barred debt, because they are supposed to say that. And I have heard recordings where I said, hey, even though you did not understand what time-barred meant, they did state it in there. And this is going to be one that you're not going to be able to get out of. But there are situations that you can get out of it. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video what makes a difference so you can see my 8-point validation process and my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com to grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports and all 3 scores. If you have debt collectors coming after you, grab my 3-pack of letters. Statute of limitations letter. When a debt collector tries to collect a debt that's past legal statute of limitations, you do not need to do a debt validation letter. Don't even get into that. It's only about notifying them that you have no legal obligation to pay it, and they will just go away. If the debt is not past legal statute of limitations, I'll give you 2 other letters: cease and desist collection activities letter and debt validation letter to go back and forth. Those 2 will ask them questions that'll let them know that you're serious about fighting that debt if they decide to take it further, most debt collectors will just say, we're not going to go after you. We'll go after the thousands of people who don't know what Steve is telling people to do on his channel. I do ask for a donation on those. It is well worth it because it can save you time, money, and frustration. Thank you for your time. Please subscribe to the channel, post your questions and comments, and also tell your friends about me on my channel. We need to get this subscriber base up. I need to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That is my goal, 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. You know that I give you the information straight. If it hurts, it's gotta hurt. If it's something easy, it's gonna be easy. But no matter what, I'm gonna be 100% upfront and honest with you. Thank you for your time. This is Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.